Hello and welcome to the latest episode of UKVersus, the EU RLE catch-up. Today I'm joined by Richard, Shinnemoto Fanatic and Storm in Creator Plumber, and Luke, number 1 of Season 2 RLE Quinsee. How are you guys doing this evening?
Hey guys, yeah, I'm all good. Welcome everyone. Had a fun weekend. Didn't do as well as I liked, but it was still good.
Yeah, well, thank you. Very tired, but yeah, very good. Thank you.
Very tired. How far was your journey back from the weekend?
5-minute walk.
No. Yeah, mine was a mere 6-hour drive.
That's including your recharging.
Yeah, that was including recharge stops, but yeah.
I got home in under 4 hours because I sped very quickly.
Yeah. I mean, the charging was inconvenient, but it's actually quite nice just when you got that longer drive just to take some breaks to sort of stretch the legs and stuff. So
yeah, no, that kind of makes sense. But yeah, it was a great overall event. As you can see from my name, I'm just highlighting the fact that I am now Brett 17th Pendragon.
We just did do better.
I have joined the realms of Tam and Andrew in the getting 17th. So I am a meme gamer. I was going to put Richards on there, but I struggled to find it when I was setting up, and then he told me where it was, and I was like, I'm too lazy to do it now.
Yeah, I think it was like 40th or 41st or something.
Still pretty cool.
Yeah, we had like, 84 players, was it? Or was it 74?
74 players.
Yeah.
So we had 75, but one person hadn't registered. Apparently had an issue registering their deck online and then left.
Okay.
So we had 74.
So pretty good numbers given it's so close to Nationals.
Pretty decent turnout for school holidays, so close to Nationals. A lot of people I know couldn't make it. But yeah, definitely expecting a bit more of an uptick on Nationals. But it was a small event, but it was more concentrated power. There was a lot of very good players in a bit of a small event.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I obviously took Storm Giro, which obviously I think everyone maybe enjoyed round 1 on the stream. It was a lot of fun. I know it's kind of memey, but I think the deck's actually pretty good. I think certainly 3 of my losses were winnable. No move just wasn't winnable at all. But yeah, I really enjoyed the deck. It was a lot of fun.
You got to defeat Rapper and then got beaten by the younger brother of the Rapper player.
Yeah. So yeah, round 1 obviously I won the stream match despite making multiple mistakes, which I watched back and just sort of cringe at. And yeah, then his little brother beat me up next round with Tokyo Army, which is quite funny.
And then we had Luke on Overhaul, as pretty much everyone is aware at this point.
Yeah, and obviously took the whole thing down.
We'll get into like a bit more of a detailed interview, but as a summary of your weekend, how are you feeling?
Yeah, good. It still hasn't sunk in yet. But no, after the weekend, yeah, I'm pretty confident with the deck, and I'll probably make a few changes. I might play for Nationals, but I'll have a look and see what else there is available to play. But yeah, pretty confident.
Well, that's just it. We've got 5 cards being added in next week, which are going to be not game changing, but could have some high impacts on the game. I mean, there's that new Deku provisional promo, which just lets you build in cards, which is an amazing one check. So I'm expecting, and Bubble Girl, which I have got in my draft, and it was a risky pick. And for those who didn't manage to see the stream, I was playing Void Midnight. It's a deck I was looking for a while, and then I saw Nate DeWalt do quite well on Eraserhead Void, and I looked out, that's very similar to my list, but I'm just more focusing on pure speed punching you in the face. And I did very well. I prepared for the meta, then faced 1 overhaul in all 7 rounds, so I was not that happy with my opponent, with my round matchups. But I was overall happy with the way my games went down. Speaking of Nationals, the events are now up on UGN. We're waiting on codes. And last week, we got the promos. And we'll start with the guest. Luke, how do you feel about these promos?
yeah, if they're anything like these ones that we just received from the regionals, yeah, quite like them. My particular favourite from the promos is passing the torch. It seems like a nice promo, like All Might in the middle of it. It's quite cool, and these promos look very good. I think my favourite. I think they've done a good job with Rejuvenation Smash to be the actual prize winner one.
Yeah,
that card is bonkers beyond belief. Anyway, for an ultra.
Just gonna crank up your volume a little bit because apparently they're having a bit of trouble hearing you. Just say something now.
Hello.
Ooh.
Can you hear me?
There you go.
Hello.
Thank you, Andrew.
yeah.
Andrew.
Yeah, I think the card choices across the board here are very good, right? Like, there's not really stinkers. Like Ojiro 2, I guess, but it's I guess it's nice to have like an errata version out there. But yeah, they're all like, you're looking at your tongue whips, your haymakers, your 1.3 millions, your jabs. Summer Dark Shadows, I think was one of them, wasn't it? So it's like they're all very, very playable cards, and they're going to be desirable, and there's not going to be huge quantities of them. So it's sort of nice for those that like to.
Well, except jab.
Yeah, it's nice to take these promos. There's people that want to kind of go to these events, take these promos away, and kind of recoup some of the cost they're spending, rather than sort of collecting them. So, and I expect these to have value. Aside from my personal dislike of the new layout format, they are very pretty.
Yeah, I like the way the promos have been done. I like we're getting a jab for early registration, a jab for participation, and that they've kind of brought diversity back in the forms of prizing, which is the person who does best on each character will receive an additional jab. So just for taking,
that's how you do diversity. You don't screw people out of top cuts with diversity. You incentivize it rather than penalizing it.
Yeah, I think that it's a cool little nod to UVS past, going, here's diversity back, but in a way that isn't going to mess up top cuts.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people like screaming that they want the Manata, so they're going for it. The Eraser one just looks insane. I absolutely love the way that he's been done. But
yeah,
sorry, go.
I think he looks incredible. Yeah, the artworks look amazing. The background colors for each one suits the particular character as well. Like Back Alley Maker is amazing. I find that's another reprinted that we needed because the XR version for the card, there's not much difference from the ROM. So.
Yeah.
It also gives you an alternative way to find it without having to crack set 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rejuvenate Smash being the promo is a great choice. I think people had a lot of issue last time. It was the top 4 winner, like Aggressive Clash and Heroic Clash, weren't great. They weren't the most playable. But people who win these, we're going to see them get played afterwards. Or they're going to be a lot more expensive to get hold of. Because these are very playable contender and champion cards, much like the old Frigids and Detroits that were coming out like last season.
Yeah, someone's going to try and get a playset of these, right? And by that I mean Mike.
That's the interesting thing.
Might be a stretch for him.
You can't get a playset of champion ones. There's only 3 events.
Well, of the silvers, because honestly, I think with these cards, always the silver ones actually look better than the gold ones. But
I like these promos. I think they've done a great job on them. I'm very interested to see how the playmat's going to go down if we're doing playmats again, and we should hopefully get the codes coming through soon, so we can all get signed up and we can all then start aggressively testing for the next 6 weeks, or 7 or 8, 7 weeks for our Australian counterparts, or 8 weeks for our US counterparts. It's going to be a very busy month in October.
Yes, it is. And obviously, I've got no idea what I'm going to play, but I'll wing it. It'll be fine.
So, just putting up the bracket from the weekend. The top 16 was quite diverse. I know Let's Talk UVS did a breakdown of what they thought was going to happen, and they were quite close as to what went through. A fair few amount of Marios. Well, Luke, you were in the top 16. How did you feel about the matchups as you were going through and the character representation in the Top Cut?
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
You had 3 Mirios, right? You had Mirio. No, Mirio, Overhaul Mirio.
It was Amajiki in the top 4.
Yeah, the Amajiki player from top 4 was.
Oh, yeah, I see.
Yeah, from playing the top 16 was interesting. The real reason why I played Overhaul in the first place was because of Mirio. Overhaul's got quite a good matchup against Mirio. If you play like a defensive line and they use their resources early on, then you can probably get into the position where the opponent's not got many attacks left, and they think they're gonna go and keep a load of foundations in hand, and then rather than I playing attacks, I just keep playing foundations because they can only ditch 1 card from hand. Then they're not drawing as many cards to like progressively attack like 4 or 5 times. And that's what happened in top 16. In top 8, I played against Earth Overhaul, and that was against my mate Gavin. I think the Life version of Overhaul has a better matchup against Earth because Life's got more draw power. You can get into a position with passing the torch and new training method to control your blocks. Unless you're playing against Throw Overhaul, obviously, then you have to think about conservative or maybe gaining health from your Overhaul when you're attacking and save your Faith Shields against throws, I suppose. But as I've noticed, a lot of the Earth package plays the Harden package, which is quite good. Then I played against Hamajiki in top 4. That was incredibly difficult because when I played game 1, I thought I could do the same situation and just build and keep building. But the issue was he was playing a build similar to how like All Might was, where he had an attack because of the momentum. He gained so much attack on 1 card and pumped the speed up to like plus 19, so it made it rather difficult to block. And I didn't have enough foundations to tap out to control the board. So I changed tactics game 2 and 3 to play a bit more aggressively, a bit more risky, hopefully pass the checks at times as well, which kind of paid off. And then obviously and then in the finals I played against Emma, who played Mirio. It was an interesting Mirio build she was playing, because normally I find that Mirio, because I played Mirio in the last RLE, and I played a bit more of an aggressive build, but she played a controlling aggressive build, and I kind of looked before obviously starting the round. I had a look at her deck, and I was thinking to myself, has she got much deadlock in there? Can I just keep building, or do you want to play a later game, or do I want to go turn 2 or 3 and just go all out? But then I noticed that she was playing Airy as well, and then obviously because she's playing a few foundations that actually add quite a bit of momentum, it's quite difficult to just go 4 attacks and hope you can just kill him. I was waiting for the chance to have like 6 or 7 or 8 attacks during 1 turn. So I had a game plan where if I just kept building and wait until I refresh my deck, hopefully I'll see all my attacks, because all my foundations are on the board. So if I can get the pass and the torches and get my draw cards, I'm going to keep getting more attacks, and hopefully, even with the Mirio ability, even with, well, obviously with Cheerilio, because I've played Practical Studies, obviously she went into I can just seal it anyway, but kind of just go all out and hopefully kill her within one turn because of the repeating smash to ready foundations that I needed for the to go for the kill. And that was about it for game 1 and 2. It was only till later on in game 2 that I realised, I think it was 2 or 3 returns, that I noticed that she had less cards in deck than I, so as either I wait for a few more attacks and just go for the kill, or I'll go, obviously for the deck out. But I did earlier on in game 2 try to kill her, but I didn't take into consideration with the Aerie, and obviously I needed one more attack. I did have another repeated in hand, but that wasn't going to be enough because Aerie had, obviously there was one momentum underneath. I couldn't go past one to kill her anyway, so I needed one more to dig for one more attack, but I couldn't unfortunately get it. But other than that, I think Overhaul on Life, I think, is one of the strongest deck at the moment, I believe. So
we got Michael, who was judging your games on the stream from the finals, was saying the final was so well played by both you and Emma, and the way you won in game 1 was one of the best. Was the best win he'd seen all weekend. But I'd like to circle back to one of the points you were saying during when you were talking about that, is that you've probably got a good matchup into Mirio because you did top cut the Webcam RLE playing Mirio, so you're quite well versed with how the character runs, and especially about how did the EU RLE sort of match up against your Webcam experience?
It was the issue is with the online RLE. I'm not quite used to using playing online and playing on webcam. Find it difficult sometimes to see the cards, so I'd rather play live, to be honest, because I can see how many foundations they've got, how I can see it a bit clearly on the board, rather than so I make less mistakes. I can calculate a bit more mathematically and think.
Yeah, it's something I've come across on webcam compared to live. Is a case of you can give away more information in webcam than RL, because if you can see the foundations more clearly, you can look for your opponent's discard without having to tell them to stop on particular cards or read out particular foundations. So you're kind of giving away more information by going, this is what I'm worried about you having in webcam, rather than in real life where you can just look and go, and then you can just play the mental game of this is what I need to watch out for, rather than having to specifically ask your opponent what cards they have out.
Yeah. I mean, it's always the case, right? Webcam is like, it's nice we have this as an option, but it's just nowhere close to being the best way to play the game. Certainly the sort of your experiences with Aerie, I found, I think it was like round 6 when I played against Talbay, sort of built Aerie turn 1 both games, and it just both times just utterly blocked me. Talbay was rough anyway, but yeah, just was really hard getting through Aerie.
So in the meta breakdown, we had 10 Mirios, 8 Overhauls, 7 Rappers, 4 Izuku 4s, 4 Sir Night Eyes, 4 Razorheads, 2 Mimics, and then 36 others. So interesting that like the most represented characters were in the tops, as well as a couple of the Nomus which were in the others. So I'm pretty sure like every single Nomu kind of made it in there then. But
there were 2 or 3 Nomus in top cards?
I think there was 3.
Only 2.
So maybe 2 then. But talking in Swiss, You weren't King of Swiss, Luke, so it means you did have a couple of bad rounds going in. Well, first of all, what characters did you take the L to, and what were your toughest matchups during Swiss?
Well, I went 4 wins and 3 draws. I did draw against Emiria round 5, but I made a mistake because I didn't miscalculate how many foundations I have, which should have won game 2. But then I went to game 3. I think my toughest matchup was. I don't think it was any pink in Swiss. I think it just my mistakes because of how long the games take sometimes with life overhaul compared to any others. But
yeah,
the toughest game I had all weekend was Hamajiki in the top 4. It's just the decks. I think the deck's just I think it's too powerful. I think for what it is, to be honest, with him to be a momentum and his ability to minus damage to plus damage. I think that card, the card's utilization with Manifest and obviously with Vast and obviously, I think it's rather strong.
Hamajiki's very good. And obviously going into he wants to play the long game as well, right? Hamajiki isn't like this aggressive, I'm going to kill you turn 2 7-hander. He's more sort of almost akin to the old sort of Void Eraserhead. He wants to play a longer game and get to like a sort of critical mass of momentum where it just means now you're dead, right?
And even if you block Hamajiki, he's still getting the momentum he wants out of it. So he's always growing. The longer the game goes on, the stronger he gets. And same for Overhaul and other characters that get stronger as the game goes on. But there are very few characters that can just look at your attack and go 0 damage. Just on face every single turn.
Yeah.
Did you play against Jiro at all during Swiss?
Oh, played against Jiro. No, I didn't come across any Jiro in Swiss.
Nice.
Right, that's what my gut says should be one of your worst matchups. Right? I don't know how you feel about it when you're testing against it, but I feel like Jiro should have, and certainly playing it from the Jiro side, even with the silly Storm deck, I felt like I've had a reasonable matchup going into Overhaul.
Your Storm Jiro is a little bit different than Air Jiro. I think Air Jiro, we've been able to play things like Faith Shield with no progressive. You can do some silly stuff. Being able to stop that first attack. I think Life Overhaul actually has a decent matchup into Air Jiro. But Luke, if you did you do any testing against Air Jiro in preparation for the event?
No, unfortunately not. No. I have played Jiro against Jiro in the past with Endeavour 2, but Endeavour 2 is pretty good against Jiro because of the minus damage and also that plays Faith Shield and Earth. But the only things I've really got in my overhaul list against Jiro for the first attack and stuff, if I needed to, is I do main 2 Faith Shield, so that's really the only.
We'll get into the deck lists a bit later on because I think you've got Wallkling as well.
Wallkling, yeah.
Yeah. So but we'll get into the deck list. But that's it. Well, we can probably move on to the deck list now. Yeah, we can. Should we start with Luke then, or should we start from the bottom, work our way up?
We could. If we start with Luke, then obviously if he needs to shoot off at some point, then he can do. We'll start with his, and then we'll go around through to do the rest.
Do you guys need the link to the deck, or can you find it? Are you watching the stream?
I can see it on the screen, so it's fine.
How about you, Luke?
Yeah, I can get it on the.
Well, it's your list, so you know it anyway. So we'll be looking at the UKVersus cards, the deck list, because Murray got them up to date, and when I was looking for UVS, there was 2 missing, so I'll just go this one. So starting character was Overhaul, 20 attacks, which were 4 Future Charge, 4 Heroic Strike, 3 Setup Strike, 3 Repeated, 4 Back Alley Haymaker, and 2 Monstrous Fusion. Now, this is something that I immediately brought up when we were looking at Andrew's list a couple of weeks ago. The lack of Setup Strikes. I think it just works so well with what Overhaul's trying to do that it should just be an instant include. It's a momentum out for +3 speed, making it a 6-7, and it makes your next one essentially +3 and then +2 with Overhaul, which means it's a big threat whatever the next one's going to be. Usually it's going to be a repeated as a 7-8 minimum.
Yeah, yes, that's right. Normally I use the Setup Strike as it's more of a bait card, really. So if they want to block, or say if they've got like learning the standards or something like that, so I can play the strike. They block it. That's fine. Then that just puts me into a situation where I can just play either Future Charge, which because it's a free mid, it's quite easily blockable, or Akali Maker if need be. So
yeah, like you said, it's perfect. Even if you've got no other attacks in hand, it's a perfect learning the standards bait because you play it, you go cool. It's a 3-5. My next one gets +3 speed. And they'll go, well, I can waste a block on it, I can take it and make your next one a bit harder. It's like you've used learning standards for nothing. It's a great mental game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, technically speaking, yeah.
How does Monstrous Fusion play for you? Because obviously it is a big old 6 diff. You just killing people all day with it, or?
I either use it as a first attack just to like bait it out if need be, or if they're on really low health, I can just use it as a first attack. So they have to use, they'll have to use a lot of cards to deal with it because obviously with the +3 speed.
Yeah.
I've noticed because it's also a low block as well. I use it as a low, but mainly I just leave it to put face down just in case. If I needed to use either the Monstrous Fusion or the 100 Repeated Smash, depending if I have the momentum or not to gain the speed if I need to.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's just. I will say this: it's not. If I had to make it in changes, I'd probably take it out now after testing it a bit more. But during the situations when I need it, I haven't really used it at all, to be honest. I was expecting to use more of it, but no, it wasn't very good for the deck, I don't think, to be honest.
I guess the obvious swap there is to just put in the 4th repeated, right?
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Is the 3 repeated a conscious choice or an availability choice?
Conscious. I really wanted. It's just a conscious choice. I only play the 3 because I could play 4, but I only like to use it late game, and the only times I use it, I put it face down all the time with Overhaul's effect. I don't keep it in hand unless I have a second one. Repeated's just a late game card game, and basically I just wait until I receive more attacks until I use it. So it's not really. I don't really utilize 100% smash until late game, because obviously there is Heroic Strike, which is I find really good.
Yeah, very flexible. But even like just playing it as your first attack, I think as a repeated it's a totally reasonable poke. It sort of does that kind of Crone Frog, like sort of copy thing. So like you play it, you check your 5, cool, commit my passing, draw a card, ready it. It was essentially free.
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I haven't been using it like that because I'd rather. But I could use it obviously like that. But I'd rather use like Back Alley Maker or Future Charge or like Setup Strike, because they're normally like the first cards I'd rather play.
You can see where you're coming from. It's a case if you want to put down like a future charge, then a heroic strike, get 2 committed, or even a future strike, a future charge, set up strike, then heroic strike, get them over committed, play the repeated from face down, ready 4 things up, and then even possibly going into a monstrous with your entire board ready. I very rarely want to. I feel really bad playing repeated first as overhaul, but it's something I played a lot on midnight. Just I'd slam it as my first attack, and it'd be like, cool, deal with my 8-9 high 6.
Yeah, that's also the case. Yeah, because of this EX and powerful, I suppose. Yeah. But when I've been playing Overhaul on Life, I don't really use momentum too much, to be honest. Because whenever I play against Miri, I'm a bit too nervous to put momentum onto it, because obviously they can utilize that with catchy doers, which is a card lately, which is kind of a struggle.
Yeah, I mean, I guess sort of the thing there, though, is if they're using a capture to steal your momentum, they're not using a capture to take a second turn. So it's, sort of swings and roundabouts, I guess.
But no, this is definitely a solid list. Like I said, the Monstrous Fusions were an artistic choice, and it may be something we don't see if you play this back at Nationals. They will probably turn into maximum overhauls. We can't. We're not gonna like ask you what you're playing at Nationals or going to this, but I can see those quite easily changing into maximum overhauls.
Yes, I've actually finished my deck for Nationals already.
Oh, look at you!
Already, yeah.
Time for his weekly call out. But I spoke to Mr. Hardiman about my midnight list. I don't think I'm done with the character. I think I need to push it even further. I think 17th was not high enough for what I want to get with Midnight. So I was looking, and Mike just went, it's decent, it just needs to be bigger. I was like, I'm not making an 89 card Midnight. I'm not falling for your Momo traps. But let's have a look at the foundations. So let's start with the zeros. For keeping out safe, did you experience a lot of stun during the event?
Yeah, especially against Mirio. Obviously with the back alley makers, they've come really nice to stop stun, but no, not too much stun. They're just nice to have though. They're a good zero diff. Mainly because
this is obviously much more of a punchy list, right? Than say like Andrew's version. Like you've leaned much more into the punches, so you've obviously got those like note takings and stuff.
Yeah, we've not seen the cannons or the tongue whips. We're just seeing I'm going to just overwhelm you with my attacks, and you are going to die, sort of thing. I'm going to build up. I'm going to wait for you to give me an opening, and then I'm going to take advantage of that opening.
Yeah, I guess actually that's probably one of the biggest misses in terms of stuff that I expect in this list would be the tongue whips, right? So I guess sort of why didn't you feel like you wanted to run them? Was it just for maximum 100% value, or
it's a low block? It's a low attack. Sorry, so none of my cards in my deck run low attacks, so they're all high, so mids.
So for those of you when you face against Luke at Nationals, don't hold low blocks. That's how you beat Luke. You just don't hold the low blocks. And this is where Luke's going to turn up to Nationals with an all-low attack deck now after giving that attack away. Low for haul, let's go!
Yeah, for the case where a lot of people are scared to play against Mirio, and obviously people choose low, mainly to block. So I just changed it to a situation where don't play any low attacks, just play purely high and mids, because they probably reduce the block lineups for highs, probably, depending on the deck anyway.
So when you were playing Mirio,
going to be holding blocks against you, right? Because they're going to be expecting tongue whip.
But when you were playing Mirio, then did you make all your attacks low, or did you go, no, I'm not even going to make them low as Mirio. I'm just going to play them all. I'm going to make them all high or something.
When I played the RLE for online, game 1, I did a few mind games where I just did all the attacks low, and then game 2, first 2 turns I went low, so it made my opponents think that I was always going low. And then I came into the decision I actually wanted to look at the discard pile before the starting of my attack phase. And I came into a situation where I just called everything at highs. And then that happened in round 8 when I did that. Because I played against... When I played against the RLE, I played against 4 Mirios, and I think I only lost to 1.
Nice.
Just because mainly of capturing evildoers and obviously mind manipulation. Because I play 4 Vermilion of the big 3 because obviously you want to see the card.
Yeah.
Than playing 2 or 3. But other than that, that's the reason behind it. Obviously, when I played against Ellie in the final, she played it quite smart with Mira. She played. She didn't always go low. She changed it up a bit to high. She also did mids as well, which was.
Ooh, that's spicy.
Yeah, it was quite interesting actually because I was quite surprised. Because if I played any other deck other than Overhaul, I probably would have struggled because I could utilize my face downs. Obviously, I can draw 2 from passing the torch, so I can take the gamble to whatever she's going to block. But yeah.
But yeah, it's something that gets mentioned in group chats and some of the new players. On Friday, I was talking to someone who said they hadn't played Mirio before, and I was like, the worst thing you can do is just pick a zone and constantly call that zone. You want to, as you did in game 2, you want to spend 2 turns calling a zone, pressuring them with the block for the blocks, getting that half damage in, and then turn 3, switching it up to all high or all mid, and just catching them off guard and getting that kill attack in. But
yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
But we're not here to talk about Mirio and your great success on that. We're here to talk about the other side of that stuff. That's why we're the one that keep diverging. This season you've had a hell of a run, and hopefully you can keep it up into nationals.
I hope so, anyway.
Yeah. A lot. So looking at the foundation base, a lot of cards with Deku's face on. Only the 1 tight-lipped over, and you've got 2 floating on babies instead. That's a very interesting choice.
No, it makes sense. Like, you don't necessarily need tight-lip because you sort of do it on face, right? You flip a foundation for 2. So, like, I think it obviously, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's more like you want to be able to tactically tight-lipped to get a face down to then play the thing as like a block. So it's almost like a defensive piece rather than it is offensive piece in overall.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, that's the exact reason why I played it, because I can use it with back alley maker just to bring it back, and then do exactly what I need to do to either same with flirting around with my babies. Flirting around with my babies is a bit of an issue because of 4 mid block.
Yeah,
I don't really want to use it for the block stage. And obviously there's a release, but I only play 2 release. The only one that I utilise mainly is keeping Ares safe, because you want to play 4 just in case of the stun. So
yeah, it's such a good stun hate card. The moment they come down, you essentially just shut off stun 1. Even back alley can have issues against it once you get multiple down. I see that the 1 diffs, apart from self-sacrifice, are more to deal with the lack of speed boost that Overhaul has issues with. You get the note takings for additional speed and face down low blocks. I'll protect you for defensive speed hate and practical studies, which I think is such an underutilized card. I absolutely love this card.
Yeah, I find it amazing because when they realise that I'm going into deadlock and going like for 20+ foundations, they start to follow, and then when the deadlock ability comes into play, then because it can use it on assets as well as foundations, so I can keep it on area as well, so you can just
yeah, and it's one of those things that you then you can play it. You can then get your repeated out, ready it back up, and do it again.
Yeah, that's basically. It's a very strong card.
And the more defensive you're up against, if they don't want to take any damage, all of your attacks that turn are getting +1 speed, making them a lot harder to deal with as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. And yeah, like obviously you need deadlock threats in the deck, right? Yeah. Because you want to chase into deadlock. Like that's how I guess Overhaul kind of wants to work. Is he wants to build out a huge old stage, and if your opponent decides they're going to follow you, well then you need ways of pressuring that, right?
Yeah. In terms of deadlock hate, you've got Ryuk Agency Trainee, which is commit after your attacks blocked. You have commits to foundations. Great deadlock, and then you've got Practical Studies, which has got very strong deadlock on face. Not the most threatening deadlock, but it's that +3 speed is enough to put someone on edge, especially with the setup strikes in deck as well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it actually the Practical Studies in game 1 in the finals quite helped against Cheerleader to just turn it off.
Yeah, you can just do your first attack that you know they're not going to flash, or go, you need to flash this, or that is not getting used for the rest of this turn.
Yeah.
Lost in Thought, I think, is an absolutely amazing card in Overhaul. Yes, it's a removal, but it lets you pick up a block zone that you want and build down something that you can either block, you might need to block with later in the turn, or set up your next attack sequence for the next turn.
Yeah, it just sort of does everything, right? It's stage interaction, it's your own personal stage manipulation, it sort of does what you want.
And it allows you to cycle a new training method, which we'll go on to now. New training method in Overhaul is just cracked. You check a foundation, you flip commit it, and then if you just want to build, you play it as a face down on a 2, and you get to build it again, and you get to bring in another foundation committed.
Yeah, the card was nuts. It was completely broken. Yeah. Especially, I did have a situation when somebody had learned the standards, and when my first attack run, all I did was, because I've already, when I played the attack, I checked the foundation and added it to hand. He took the damage and he played the learning the standards, and then I just played the new training method and just built foundations.
Yeah.
And just
same with wall clings, which I think. Oh no, they're not. You don't have the wall clings.
No, I didn't play Walkmans. No, sorry.
But yeah, same. I like when I build Overhaul Life, I use wall clings as well. Same with Excited for Blood. If they learn the standards, you just go, cool, I'll get my defensive pieces back that I flipped last turn to deal with you.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I didn't play the Walklings, but I did play Excited for Blood. Excited for Blood was pretty good. But yeah.
Carbo loading, just because, I'm going to kill you and eat quicker.
I mean, I guess mainly, like, it's a foundation that readies itself, right? You just attack, you prep for 2, game 1, I ready this foundation, like, and sometimes the damage, I guess, is relevant, but it's just a foundation that readies itself most of the time, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I kind of misplayed with carbo loading during most of the event, because I didn't realise, because carbo loading was already untapped, I couldn't do it with repeated, so during the later in the tournaments, I did use carbo loading, then use repeated, and then use carbo loading, and then use carbo loading's own effect. So,
you'd probably be playing it the same way I played it with Midnight. Is you play the carbo loading, there you play the repeated, then use carbo loading, then ready it back up, then you can commit it later on down the line, and it readies itself back up through its ability. That if I've got carbo loading down, I feel a lot better throwing repeated as my first attack. Because if I check well, this is going to be a minimum of 4 for 9, which is just going to be fun.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah.
If you can just get that one more, you're not getting breaker for the rest of the turn either.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
That was the most fun thing I had with Midnight with Repeated Smash, was getting to 10 and just being like, cool, your breakers do nothing. But yeah, I'm sort of surprised to see the 2 of the AC trainees. I'm not necessarily a huge fan of the card. Like it's, I guess we're just expecting a lot of breaker.
Well, no, this isn't the breaker stopper. This is the build after block.
Yeah, that stops breaker. That's what it does.
No.
Well, it kind of gets round breaker, right?
Yeah, it kind of so it kind of gets one breaker.
But that's basically what it does, right?
Yeah, but with the way overhaul works, healing and additional damage, you're getting blocked a lot more. So being able to commit this, build more to guarantee the pass checks of repeated smash, and readying it so if they block repeated smash, you get to build again. Seems really good.
I mean, it doesn't go you resource positive, right? On its own, so it just does not breaker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, sometimes obviously you can build something in halfway through a string, like you want to get in a carbo loading or an excited for blood and do something like that. But like mostly it's there as an anti-breaker tech, so it's like it feels like something I play as a one of and not necessarily a two. But then again, I'm just like I say, not necessarily a huge fan.
We've got William in chat saying that it basically just stopped breaker, which it makes sense. It's just it's nice to see multiple options for the repeated ready up, because if you don't, although you're running 4, you may not see passing the torch early enough. But having the synergy with carbo loading and training gate and agency trainees is really good to just be able to go. Yeah, my deck's got additional secret tech that you weren't going to see. Any last thoughts on your deck before we move to the sideboard there, Luke?
No, I think that's pretty much mostly covered. I think the one most underrated card that I played that I didn't think was really good was note taking. Note taking was an incredible card.
Yeah.
It solves a big issue.
Leaning into that punch package, right, is very good. Like it's a low block, it's a spam. It's effectively like just a 3/2 speed. Whenever I've kind of played good punches, like I always try and jam as many as I can, because it's just like, generally speaking, good, can get damage out the wizard if it needs it, and it's just the speed it needs. I'm a big fan of note taking.
And of course, the standard 4 cooperation offer to go, Mirio, you're not touching me.
I mean, cooperation offer is just bonkers good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that card is ridiculously good. One of my favourite cards on the weekend for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's such a good card. I completely overlooked it, but then when I realized it shuts down Mirio and it just gives damage out of everywhere. Yeah.
Flip for -3 speed is fine.
Yeah.
Flip and being able to then obviously reset the thing is obviously good against Mirio, and just committing for the damage is sometimes pretty good. So it just does a lot on a 2 diff with a not horrid block. A 3 mid isn't the best, but...
So moving to the sideboard, we've got 2 instant shine and flash, lovely momentum hate, and 2 naval laser beams. If you did you bring these in, and what were you looking for to actually bring these in for?
Naval laser beam was just, I used them mainly for the breaker 2 sometimes. So normally I took them out for the monstrous fusions, depending on what deck I was playing against. They just came in handy for the extra speed to flip, basically, and to I think I only really used them against Rapper, actually, round 1. I did side him in against Rapper, just for the breaker.
For the breaker 2 to slow them down. Yeah, and if you did end up playing the naval laser beam, just discarding momentum to unflip 2 things, not even having to flip them, you didn't really need to flip them back, just getting them back, these things back online, it's going to be good.
I like the shining flashes of any copies face shield, they sort of make sense. I'm just curious about the Pussycats and the All Smiles, what were you bringing those in for, I guess?
All Smiles mainly against Mirio, Vermilion of the big 3, that comes into a big play. Yeah. But then again, I like it when I put them in. I didn't really use them because I kind of because Lost in Thought did the same thing to stop for a turn. So what I might do is take All Smiles out and put another 2 Lost in Thought into the sideboard.
I mean, I like
I guess more flexibility. It's useful in more options, right?
Yeah.
do like all smiles in the with how many rejuvenating you're going around, because just be able to flip it and cancel that. If you're going in for exactly lethal this turn and then they gain 2 on rejuvenating, you can just go flip. Yeah, no, you lose that 2 you just gained.
Yeah, that's also very strong. Issue is I've got issues with siding out of the cards, because when I play against like Mirio, I've just sided in like Faith Shield and the 2
Evading copies.
evading copies.
Yeah.
And I found it hard to put the All Smiles in as well, because a lot of the cards utilize really well together.
Yeah.
Which I kind of struggle, to be honest, with the sideboard.
Yeah, I don't know what I would. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Williams in the chat saying, yeah, Naval is great against rejuvenating smash decks, back alley decks that are running all mids, because I know there was a rapper there that was playing focused attack all mid, so that would have been Naval Laser Beam would have been great going trying to shut that down. But yeah,
I did play against a rapper. Nathan was in round 1, which Naval Laser Beam come in handy at sometimes, but I didn't really get the chance to use it for its full utility. To be honest, I didn't really play against too many aggressive decks apart from Mirio, which I'd rather side these defensive base. I was like, but no, other than that, no, it didn't really see much use for the Naval Laser Beams, to be honest.
So speaking of Mirio, let's have a look at Emma's list, the finalist. We're looking at a 55 card deck Mirio, which 50 cards. No, 3 capture leaderdoers, 1 Eri. Eri was such a pain to deal with, and you were saying that you kind of had to play around it in the finals.
Yes, yeah, it was a bit of a struggle. If she didn't have Eri at all, I think game 2 would have ended a lot quicker, to be honest, because I did have another repeater to finish her off if she didn't have the Eri available.
I'm liking this attack lineup isn't what you kind of expect as your standard. Good. No, yeah, good. It's not your standard good lineup. Yeah, you got your back alleys, your tech smashing valence. I'm liking the addition of Phantom Threat, but that's just kind of standard movie now. The rewind throttles are very interesting. I've come around on rewind throttle. The more I've played it, the more I'm like, target committal is absolutely insane. Being able to replace the card you get rid of, and it's essentially a 5/5 in Mirio.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm a big fan of rewind. Like, honestly, the only card I don't like seeing played in Mirio is Texas. Like, I just don't think Mirio needs it, but that's just me. Like, I'd rather see something else in the Texas slot.
Honestly, personally, I agree with what you're saying there. I would have probably shifted that for a plummeting punch.
Yeah, like a plummeting or, a something else, but like, I don't know, it just feels like you tax your resources enough anyway that you don't need to do more with.
I mean, you've got decent draw power to replace that.
Win more to me.
But we're not the ones that made it to the final, but personally I would probably be running a plummeting punch over Texas, just because that deadlock threat would have probably made a huge difference going against people going to deadlock. Not if they've got 33 cards like Luke had, but early on into deadlock, being able to flip, destroy, and commit basically 3 individual foundations the moment they hit deadlock is huge.
Crossfade in chat say he thinks not running Texas is wild. I think Texas just win more. Like, I think you put the damage on stuff anyway. You don't necessarily draw a whole ton of cards, and obviously, Texas Enhance is just sort of taxing.
So I don't know if William was here when we were talking about the way Emma was playing it, but from what Luke was saying, Emma was not playing an aggressive Mirio. She was not going in for, I'm just going to wipe you out as quickly as possible. It was a more controlled, mid-range sort of pacey Mirio, which is why we were thinking, like, with the way that Luke was talking about the way Emma was playing, plummeting punch makes a bit more sense, because it can hit, if you've got a big 3 out, it can hit all 3. You get the +1 damage for high, you make it a mid with Mirio, you flip a foundation, make it a low, and it's essentially got +2 speed, +1 damage on its face because of Mirio and because of Lemillion and the Big Three.
Yeah. Like, I know, like, Texas does kill people, right? And I'm not saying it's a bad card or that everyone made bad choices. I'm just saying, like, from a personal perspective, like, yes, it does sometimes get you some free wins if they're not prepared for it. But, like, good players are quite often going to be prepared for it, right? It's not particularly fast attack. It's not that unblockable.
Apple said in chat that he even said to her before the events that he wasn't a fan of Texas Smash, but she stuck with it. And from what he saw, games that thing took the games. That's what got her wins. So yeah, but again, this is why we are not in the top cuts, because we overthink. We don't play the lines that other people would play, and it got Emma all the way to the finals and got such support that, like, UVS, let's talk UVS, were backing her to get the full win.
Yeah, like, I don't know. How did you feel about Texas as a matchup against you, Luke? Like,
I think Texas is needed in the deck. I think 4 Texas is
really
very good. When you get into a position like, if you get into a position where you've got Phantom Threat and you have Capsule Evildoers and you can reset the board and they run out of cards, you're gonna get into a position with Texas Smash where you can have a Texas Smash with Valiant Assault combo, where later on you want to play a Valiant Assault later, because you can actually, when you deal the damage, you can have a look at the top of the card to have the check, which will actually win games as well from time to time, because Texas is dealing 7, then Valiant Assault's dealing like 8, 9, 10, 11, depending on mid because of Mirio, and then play another Texas, and then just I think from my point of view, I think Texas is very much needed a 4 of in Mirio.
Looking at the list as well, another all high, all mid. The age of the low attack is over. It's all high, all mid now.
I mean, good punches don't have lows, right? They just don't really exist apart from chop,
uppercut.
Yeah, but like, yeah, the general good punches list doesn't really run lows, but obviously Mirio doesn't care about the printed zone. So
yeah, this seems like a very well-oiled lineup. You can tell it's got some decent thought behind it, because Rewind Throttle is not one I've seen many people playing. Did you come across many people running it, Luke?
Rewind Throttle? Not really. There's a few mirrors that play it. I played it at the RLE. It's personal. I think it's good because of the 5 speed.
Yeah,
I think it's quite. I think it's quite a strong card.
No, I agree. I'm a big fan of it.
I absolutely love it because it's target committal, which is great, and it replaces the cards you discarded.
Yes, that's right.
And you don't have to use the committals if you've got other ways of discarding. In addition to it, you can just get a free card.
It's free utility for chance of drawing more attacks to go for game if need be.
So looking at the attack list, how worried about Phantom Threat were you in the finals? Because you got to look at the list. What did you think when you looked at this attack list? Was it just, oh, it's generic Mirio, or I need to really watch out for this particular attack coming at me at certain points?
Yeah, if she played the Phantom Threat with a load of attacks early on, like in turn 2, then I would struggle hard, because she could probably kill me on that turn. Or I'm on like extremely low health, where I'm in a position where I'm going to struggle to keep on building to block, because I could be practically, I could practically just lose the game because I don't have enough cards now to block. It comes into a situation where it just gets rid of it just goes straight to your momentum as well. So there's the one less card in your card pool. So it's just easier to play cards for a reduced cost.
It makes perfect sense. It's the kind of attack lineup you expect from Mirio, but the way that it's been distributed in the amount of attacks, you can tell there's been a bit of thought behind it, and there's been some decent work behind the scenes for the deck construction. Looking at the foundation lineup, only 3 keeping Gary safe, and only 2 it can't be fixed. It's only 6 zeros. That's a very interesting choice when you're running 4 back alleys.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where the sort of Emma's decision point of I'm not playing this kind of all-in flunge Mirio, right? I'm playing a more balanced game where I can go longer and sort of play it out, and so you've got this like more top-heavy sort of foundation base with much less of those zero spams, right? Yeah. Like you've got enough zeros, you're going to get value off back alley, but often like you're just happy to draw off back alley anyway. And it's playing a lot of these defensive pieces like Manly Passionate, like high value target, and like a lots of 1s and 2 here's and there. So there's a lot of like flexibility within this list. Like not a sort of all-in game plan. It's got a lot of
the only 4 is there's only 3 nice try. There's no 4 in this sideboard in this deck. I enjoy seeing the Celebrity Status and Destined because of how much draw power is there. It allows you to recycle and become basically a 7-hander guaranteeing an attack, because Celebrity Status just goes, yep, you get another attack. What foundations did you find the most tricky, Luke? What were you worried about, apart from cheerleader, of course?
Just the speed, like reduction, like nice try, like specialists of sound. -3 speed is quite tricky to deal with. And I was constantly asking how many cards you got in hand, just to know blocks and stuff like that. Because as soon as you had like 2 on the board with like 2 nice tries, it's a bit difficult for me to just,
Yeah, and you got a high value, as Apple saying, you got a high value target, which is such a strong defensive piece.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, as well. Yeah. Is it a heroic champion? I think it is. The one that's got the deadlock where you can stun one each time and give +2 speed.
Pulling the punches.
Pulling punches. Yeah, that card is. Yeah, that kind of hurt quite a bit.
Pulling the punches says you're not allowed to go into deadlock generally.
But Luke did. But yeah. I mean, once you hit the 30 mark on the foundations, I don't think you were that worried about stun 1. But
no, not after that bit. But early on, it was a bit scary. That's why I tried to use my Lost in Force quite a bit onto it.
Yeah.
Just try and get rid of it as soon as possible, so she has to play it again next turn instead of keeping on trying to stun as much as possible.
You've got the one of So Manly, which clogs up your card pool, trying to make it harder for you to actually get strings going. I'm loving the return of Manly Passionate Guy. We saw Manly Passionate Guy sort of fall out of favour in the One with Nature meta, because it was so hard to kind of block and utilise Manly Passionate, but now that's gone. I think we're going to see a sort of uptick of Manly Passionate guys coming back and getting that extra value.
Yeah, well, I mean, attacks are just too threatening now, and people can just string out of nowhere sometimes, especially with stuff like 100%, that you're not necessarily allowed to just take 6 to the face and then build a foundation. I think you have to be a lot more considered about it, whereas often it was just like, you're going to pitch a card from a nature call, I won't block, I'll take my damage, I'll flip these, get some more, now maybe I can block the second one. Quite often not just allowed to do that now.
But yeah, same as like the attack proportions. Looking at the foundation proportions, this seems to be a very well cultivated list where the amount of cards is not random. It's not just a deck that's been thrown together. It's a deck that has been put together with specific ideals in mind. The amounts have been put there because you don't want to see too much of this card. You want to see it at the right times. It looks like a deck that has gone through trial and error be ready for this event, and it got where it needed to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's either that or Emma just wanted all of them, couldn't make her mind up, so it's just we'll play 2 of each rather than a 4.
How are you feeling about this Muriel deck versus your Muriel deck from the webcam?
Mine's a bit more aggressive, but hers is more defensive. Obviously, I like hers more than mine, because mine was just took I've only been playing that one for about a week, and that one looks like it took a bit more time and thought into the deck. And I like the list more. So if I have to ever play, I would probably play her list compared to mine.
I mean, with the Webcam RLE being so close to the release of the set, Phantom Threats were probably a lot harder to get hold of as well.
Yes, I'd say 4 Phantom Threat is a must. I think Phantom Threat is. I'm going to be serious. This card is the best card in the deck. 100%. There's no other card that's just the fact that you can when it receives damage, it gets a response to gain speed I think is huge as well. Yeah. The minimum when you can get a million of the big 3. It's basically it's going to be swinging in for a 7. Let's say a 7 low for 8, or 7 an 8 low for 9, which is huge. And
it always it feels bad blocking stuff that gets stuffed into momentum, right? You're sort of you're not taking the damage, but you're getting progressive and your opponent isn't. It always feels bad. But yeah, Phantom Threats are a bugger.
Exactly. It's such a good card. I think the SRs from this set are possibly the strongest we've had so far. I think set 1...
There's no possibly about it, right? Yeah. Only Nitro and 5% doesn't necessarily come close. Nitro maybe does in those Fury decks, but these are just so much better.
I think 5% has its place in decks, and I think if we go to the sideboard, Emma was running 2 of them. They're really good.
Playing Phantom Threat,
no,
100% Smash, Manifest, arguably, Chronostasis Trigger, possibly. All these.
I think Tetra Terror needs to be a bit higher in your assumption of how good SRs are. I just don't think it's seen play yet. I think Tetra Terror is a great SR that's just been underutilized. And I have a personal love for Chronostasis, but that's just because a lot of clock abuses it, even if it's arranged. Looking at the sideboard, Annie Voice plus Ultra, a secondary, just to really go, you aren't killing me. One for All, another Yosovius, Taiyaki, and Chili. So, trying to be a bit more defensive, as well as having your anti-character attacks going, you need to block this, so I'm shutting your character down as well.
Yeah, and just having more copies of those tech pieces to swap in and out based on the matchup is it's nice.
The plus ultras are interesting because you're not going to be able to utilize that ability at all. It is purely a defensive card, and that
it'll be against the dunks, right? It'll be against your Staff Strike Giros or your All Might 4s. I'm going to throw a 30 speed, 30 damage attack at you, and that's what that's there for.
I would be interested to see if I think the Dobbers are going to do the interview with Emma, because that would just make the most sense. But I'd be interested to see how long she would hold a plus ultra, because becoming a 500 doesn't feel great, but a plus ultra is a great block. But how are you feeling about the sideboard, Luke? How much of this did you think Emma sided in against you?
She did side in the plus ultra, so she did use that. And yeah, I think she used the secondary obviously as well. That was, I think, that card was the bane of my existence. I think, and that's why it lasted as long as it did, because that card was on the board.
The cheerleader must have come in. I can't imagine it not coming in against
the second cheerleader and possibly the second just obvious just to...
No. Just obvious just isn't great against someone running a whole load of punches, right? It's just...
I mean, but repeated can just kill you if it gets high enough.
Yeah.
I have to speak to Emma, but... yeah, congratulations to Emma. Did a hell of a job getting all the way there. I think this event was the first time they'd played Mirio as well, or something along those lines. They didn't have that much experience going into Mirio, but they played it absolutely beautifully. Let's move on to your favourite one, there, Luke. Let's move on to Amajiki. When we were sat at the sideboards, we could see you. We could see we couldn't see the stream because it was behind us, but we could see your reaction, and just you looked like you are having the time of your life playing against Amajiki. You look like you'd be rather watching paint dry, or.
That deck is really strong. Yeah.
So we've got 3 Manifest, which seems to League of Villains to just go. Yeah, you don't get to do anything there.
Yeah, cancels are very good.
Yeah.
The 3 Sluggers are interesting. I would play it as almost as like a one-off, just because it's like a first form in your momentum. You want your momentum abilities doing stuff, but the bottom enhance is pretty good on it.
Yeah.
And obviously the big standout is the Wallops, right? That's the sort of tech for here.
Yeah, so it's a super kill card Wallop. You can just increase it to ridiculous amount of damage, then powerful up even further, and then go 1 speed for every momentum discarded, and just go no.
Yeah, it's just like all of these Amajiki lists tend to have like 2 or 3 kill conditions, right? Hello, Wallop guy. Obviously you've got I'll put my Amajiki damage on a 0 grav lift. Deal with it. I will powerful a home run comet, or an ice storm, or in this case a death arms Wallop.
Yeah.
Or I'll indiscriminate you, right? Like it's just like you tend to have like these 2 or 3 different that you can play in the same turn you need to deal with all these threats.
Well, that's it. And you've got the Home Comic as a one-off, which is going to be a huge threat. Death Arm Warps is a huge threat. Vast Chimera Kraken, which even if it's blocked, is still going to momentum, which is going to give it extra speed. It can literally get into double digits on speed and damage, and there's nothing you can do about it in Amajiki. As well as having your best foundation sealed and then committed by Jolt. Having the Jolts flipped back up and having everything else committed down, so going, you're definitely not stopping this.
Yeah.
Yeah, this attack...
Yeah, and it makes sense to play the sort of 3 Sluggers if you're almost like a Death Arms Wallop combo deck / Home Run Comet, or sort of does the similar things, right? If you're trying to sort of assemble this kind of turn 4, turn 5 combo, I've got enough momentum, now I'm going to kill you, having these the Sluggers and making sure you get 1 in your momentum early to say first form, seal your reset, right? I'm guessing that's the plan. Obviously Neon can correct me in chat if I'm wrong.
So I take it this is Michael who's doing who is Neon, but Luke, you got to look at the list before the event, before the game got down, and what did you think looking at this list sat across from this deck? And what was your initial spot looking at this list like? What went through your head?
I thought I was not going to. To be honest, I don't think I was going to win that round. It's just difficult when I just looked at the deck and I thought this is just far too strong. The fact that it's a 7-hander as well, the fact he can keep drawing with Sheriff's Compet, just trying anything to try and get his outs ready for turn 2 or 3 just to kill me is scary, because I'm not going to have enough foundations to deal with the Death Arms when it's like 19 speed and going for like 20 odd damage.
Yeah, unless you've got a reset, you're not have enough reduction for it.
Even on the evading copy, you're still taking half damage, which is going to be a lot of damage anyway. But yeah, and the Wealthy Aspirations, Vast Hybrid, everything goes to momentum sort of play. Broken Psyche, just meaning you're even if your attacks are going through, they're not going through for a lot. Master's Pride, allowing for mid-turn readies up with how this deck works. Yeah, this is a nice deck. I think at one point in game, was it game 2? Was it a 2-0 that you ended up with, or was it a 2-1?
2-1. I lost game 1.
Oh, yeah, I think it wasn't. I think it was in one of the games you were at 2 life, waiting for Amajiki to kill you, and you just couldn't quite get there. Or was it the other way around? I can't quite remember.
I think it was game 1. After knowing what he was doing with the deck. No, was it? Did I go to 2?
I remember one of the judges saying one of you was really low, and they were expecting the game to be over, and it went in the other person's favor. Game 1 was the Death Arms kill. Oh, nice.
Yeah. Game 1 was the Death Arms kill, and then game 2 and 3 I changed it up and just went just see a few attacks and just hopefully draw into more and just go for the game if I check 5 or utilize my repeater as much as possible just to try and go for the win early on rather than hit, because I'm on a clock until
and I think that was almost certainly the correct choice, right? He does only have 20 life, was it not? He's 29.
20, yeah.
Yeah, and obviously it takes time to build that up, that momentum. So if you can put pressure on early, get that damage in, like, it doesn't take much to kill him.
Apple was saying that the kill blow for game 1 was a 14 speed for 27 damage.
Yeah, and I reduced that. I reduced it with 2 confirmation offers as well.
So it should have been 20 speed.
Yeah, it should have been on 20 speed.
That's Michael's in chat saying there was nothing he could do against the early aggression, which I guess which is why you had to change up game 2, because game 1 you were probably doing the same playstyle of poke build, build up, establish my game board, and then Michael was going, cool, I get to live until I've got my own setup, and my setup's going to stop you from killing me.
Yeah. Yeah, I know probably killing me, and then when I eventually decide to kill you, you don't get to stop me, but I can probably stop you. It's sort of how that works, right, in getting to that late game.
Yeah, it was extremely scary. I didn't see it coming, to be honest. It was,
If you had well, you finish. Go on.
I've not really played against Hamajiki. To be honest, I had no idea what much it did until after game 1 and realizing when he actually did, because with Vest as well, to give it like +1 check and stuff like that. I was like, yeah, game 2 and 3 is gonna have to I'm gonna have to try and kill him turn 2 or 3 and just hope for the best. And that was it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's scary. So,
and I think the League of Villains is a great option for this Death Arm warps, because you're not going to be able to decoy it or broken psyche it. This League of Villains will keep that kill attack alive and make it a lot harder to deal with. This is a very well curated deck. This is the kind of Amajiki deck that the community's been waiting for to come in, and I think from what I heard, like talking to people on the Sunday, this deck made the biggest impact into like all the players I spoke to when they were looking at the games that were going on. When it came to the games that happened in Top Cut, this deck just gave the lasting impression of, I do not want to face this again.
Yeah, I'd agree. I've actually built it now. I've built it myself, yeah. So I'll be going down tomorrow to test it and see if I can make any improvements to the deck. But that his deck is, that Hamajiki deck is insane. I think his list is really good. I think, solid, very strong.
If you are looking for like my personal opinion on improvements, given how slow the game's going, and like knowing that you can essentially look at his list, you can go into deadlock without really facing any threats apart from cool and tough. You got ages. Basic training to me feels like a missed opportunity. It's extra damage and it's deadlock speed. I think all Chaos decks should have at least 2 basic trainings.
Yeah, I mean, but you almost don't care as Amajiki. Like, I understand the choice between playing the Master's Pride over it, right? Like, you want to be able to do stuff and like get those pokes and commit and have a ready board so you can survive. Because remember, you are only on 20 life and you aren't playing like a kill you deck. You're playing a a sort of a more grindy deck. So having something that is there to make sure you've got the foundation to survive, as opposed to having like this extra 1 damage, which when you get to put like 5 damage on a move on face doesn't really matter.
It's more
and also like Mars' Pride does have a deadlock threat on its own, like, you know.
True. After you take the damage, your next check is +1. No. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. It's just, I'm such a big fan of basic training, and the fact that you can just use its deadlock while committed just absolutely insane to me. But again, I'm not the one that made it that far, so I'm sure Michael. I need to handle my title of like Chaos Master to Michael at the minute. Need to get our back at some. But yeah, this deck was the one that made the biggest impact. I am absolutely loving looking at this list. Struggle with Studies, Show's Competitor, Sunny Big Three, Broken Psyche has has essentially kind of replaced Decoy Duplicate. I've seen a lot of people. Yeah,
better.
I've seen a lot of people basically just saying they'd rather run Broken Psyche than Decoy Duplicate at the minute.
And they're right.
But let's move over to the UK player base heartthrob, Greg Moss. Voted UK hottest player of the year 3 years in a row by Nathan James alone.
So
Izuku Midoriya 4.
We're finally getting top cut. Yeah.
It's a punch deck. The Command Pigeon Flock is a very interesting choice.
Again, it makes sense for Deku 4, right? You're not trying to string, you're just trying to poke, you're trying to build out your stage, you know, and it gets a lot of high value resources into play. So Pigeons makes a lot of sense in Deku 4.
Ally Foundations, Heroic Assistance, absolutely beautiful stun hate, love it. You got the Friends of Animals, Well Pussycats, and that's it?
Yeah, but that's all you need, right?
Yeah. You get your ready 2 foundations on Stern. You get your additional build, which is great as a 5-hand if you can get down early. So essentially, you can turn Command Pigeon Flock into build Well Pussycats, flip Well Pussycats, get another foundation, and that's a 2-for-1, which is really good. You don't really get to utilize the commit ability of Friends of Animals, but it does get you momentum to utilize with repeated smash or back of the haymaker, or even rejuvenate him. Rewind Throttle in this deck just makes so much sense. You discard it, you make it a 5/7, and you get to draw another card. It's the perfect Deku 4 card.
Yeah. Like everything sort of makes sense from the attack package, right? Obviously, and you see like he's not trying to string, given like literally the amount of 5 diffs in the deck, right? And sort of rejuve is effectively a 6. So you know this is I think how you're supposed to build Deku 4. Like the constantly improving is a bit of an interesting one. Like it's effectively commit for like 4 speed.
Commit. You get 3 speed off itself. It's kind of like the opposite of carbo loading, which is
you have to commit an extra one, right? So I guess you commit it and commit Pigeons.
You commit it and you commit Friend of Animals and you get 5 speed.
A whole ton of speed. Yeah. So I guess it's just like okay, now it's time to kill you, and then you just kind of do that, right?
I mean, it's a greedy list. It's running 7. 0 drops, then it's running 8 one costs, and then everything else is a 2 or 3.
But again, that's how you've got to build it, right? You have to have the foundation based do things, right? It can't be.
I've been saying
it's not a build spam plunge deck, right? It's I'm going to have a stage that matters, and I'm going to stop you doing what you're doing, and then I'm going to win.
Williams just streams just got up to what we were saying about Friend of Animals and constantly improving.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's what I've been saying for a couple of weeks now is people have been playing Deku Deku 4 like Deku 2, and Greg has understood the assignment of Deku 4. He slowed down the gameplay. He wants to get his opponent in a position where he can kill them, and that carried him all the way to top 4. Did you face any Deku 4s on your way up to the top there, Luke?
No Dekus, unfortunately. But I did happen to watch Greg's top 4 game against the Mirio, which was very good. Yeah, quite interesting. But no, I didn't play any against any Mirio.
This does seem like an interesting one against Mirio. I know after your game finished, they got moved over to the stream to help finish it off because it was going on for quite a while. So they were both playing it quite guardedly. But yeah, this seems like a perfectly defensible deck with a lot of thought put into it. And we know, well, Greg did really well last time.
The board is interesting, right? And understanding when he would actually want it. Like, what matches does he want Overhaul for?
That is, maybe we can. Maybe we should next time. Next time we should get Greg in to talk about this because this is the furthest Deku 4's gone, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we might.
I'm just because obviously they're sort of similar-ish characters, right? You know, they're trying to play a longer kind of game. So it's usually like I find with these characters, like it's, you know, you want to change pace by bringing them in, and they don't feel like you're necessarily going to get that pace change. And maybe it's against maybe more aggressive characters that he thinks that 5 cards is going to, you know, struggle with. I don't know. Like, obviously, you know, he knew when he wanted to bring that in.
It seems like we got the Faith Shields, we got the Vayner copies, great to bring in against Mirio. Instant Shining Flash. It seems like this sideboard has been kind of designed with Mirio in mind. With the momentum hate, omni block, resets, and the overhaul assault seems pretty decent, either with Deku or with overhaul. But it's definitely what I'd like to speak to Greg about. I know a couple of Deku 4 players that I've been waiting for him to go a little bit off, pop off in events, and this deck, all the top 4 decks seem just so very well cultivated. It seems like every player has put a lot of time and work into getting these decks into the optimal position, and they've got a lot further with it. That's probably one of the good things about having a RLE 2 months into the season. After a lot more, we've been able to see what other people are playing, been able to improve. No, not necessarily improve, but make changes to other decks and add our own little EU spin onto established characters as well.
Also, sorry.
Yeah, go on. You've got any thoughts on it? I'll go back to it.
The overhaul as well. I think it's good, very good against Mirio. When it goes with Mirio's effects, obviously I saw him in the top 4. He sided it in. Obviously, you can flip it to deal an extra 2 damage and gain 1 health. That's pretty good as well. But you can flip it. Basically, I think Deku's very good at going second. But I think Overhaul is very good going first. So if you like win game 1 and they go second, stick with Deku. If you lose and go first, I think Overhaul is very good going first because you have everything ready and built, so you can build a turn before. So
so let's move on. Shall we move on to the greatest deck in the top 8? Let's move on to Connor.
No, it's the worst one.
It's the best one
because he beat me mainly.
So we're going to move on to Connor and the Nomu, who built the entire deck to get it on stream and show off his gimmick, and got to do it in the top cuts. Absolutely love it. So we'll save what the gimmick is until a bit. So Nomu, Season Advantage. Trishi Cape is an interesting one, but not something I personally run in Nomu, but I guess it makes sense.
It's just like I think we've got Connor in chat.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's a great fun playing against you. It's just like I didn't have a hope in that match. So, yeah, I mean, I love Resolute Rushdown and Nomu.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's amazing. Like, it just kills just 24 damage on an attack. It's brilliant.
Especially as a 5 high, you have to use so many resources just to deal with it.
Yeah, it's like 5 high for 12, 5 high for 12 in one attack. Like, it's brilliant. Callow counter is obviously just amazing in Nomu.
Yeah, again, it's a 5/12.
All of these attacks just obviously look really good in Nomu. Like, you know, the
Trishikate.
always good, especially when someone plays 3 of them in a row.
Oh, okay, cool. So Connor's in the chat and he's saying the Trishy Cape is deadlock threat for the ignited arrow.
Yeah, that makes sense. And like obviously when we get to the foundation line up, there's probably plenty he gets to unflip as well. So,
so Luke, do you know about this deck already, or is this going to be a nice surprise for you as well?
This will be a surprise. Yeah.
Okay.
I've not seen it in action.
So yeah, this is attack lineup. All decent attacks in Nomu. Back out.
And definitely just drew nothing but your rapid punches and hardened chops against me.
Foundation wise, yeah, we're going to see a lot of 1s and 0s, a fair amount of 2s. This is a 40 card base. Quick to axe, absolutely love it in Nomu. Experiment on quirk for heals. If it sounds like I'm going quickly, it's because I want to get to the gimmick, because as soon as it was explained to me, I absolutely loved it. Snack time, I think snack time feeds into the Resolute Rushdown quite easily as well if you want to get it out quicker and get that redraw. It can be fixed and saying back go, beautiful cards. Celebrity status, wait along for.
Yeah, I mean, you can to be a 6-hander, right? So like all these things help with that. Like your stuff like your copings and like
Web of Blades feels really good here because the people are going to try to reduce your speed to stop the attacks and just getting that additional speed back before the block. Yeah. Learn standards, Nomu staple. Super regen, Nomu staple.
I hate super regen. I mean, I understand like people enjoy the card. I just, as a very personal opinion, I hate that card and never want to put it in a deck.
Prehensile Tail again in Nomu feels so good. It's the best deadlock threat, being able to add throw after you've done Nomu ability because it is keyword gated, as well as momentum height.
Prehensile Tail is an amazing deadlock threat, and like the enhance also is pretty good as well. So
here's what happens, Luke. You play against Connor, and if you are able to beat the mini boss of Nomu, he takes his sideboard and he lays every single card face down. And then you select one of the cards, and that is the character you will face next. So we've got Overhaul, Kirishima 3, Fat Gum 2, Cementos 4th kind, Izuku, Midoriya 2, Lock, Kirishima 2, and All Might 1.
Oh, God.
So
probably. Oh, sorry.
So Connor, you didn't get to choose on face. He put them face down, and you selected one at random.
Oh my God!
Yeah, it was amazing. We got to see.
I didn't get to do that because I just got punched in the face by Nomu twice.
So we got to see it happen on stream, and I believe Cementos was flipped, which is absolutely great with the Trishy Cape as well. But yeah, that was the. It was explained to me on the Saturday, I believe, that this is how this deck works. If you were able to defeat the Nomu, that you then got it got changed into another character, and I imagine the only one he couldn't use was the Fat Gum 2. So if you pick Fat Gum 2, you end up with Fat Gum 1 again. But yeah, this is the kind of deck I'd love to face off against. The kind of deck that came in here to have fun, and also did really well. I think the real Butch will be Pete Butcher. Did well against you. Yeah, it kind of went in there with a game plan in mind. Had a lot of fun. Was probably one of the most relaxed players in there because he knew he was just coming in here to get on stream with a meme, and ended up taking it all the way to the top 8.
Yeah, I think it was top 8, right?
Yeah, it's Greg and I can't remember the average player. I'm sorry, but yeah, they were top 4, so top 8, and still a hell of a run.
Yeah. I mean, like the base Nomu list is very good, right? Nomu obviously does just do be punching people in the face.
But Luke, if you'd have been going into top 16, you get handed over this deck list, and you just see 10 characters in sideboard. What's your reaction gonna be?
I'll be asking him why he playing 10 characters. I'll be like,
you'll find out too.
It'll be, if you said that to Connor, just be you'll find out if you beat me.
Yeah. No, I'll be quite surprised because if he didn't play the cards down and he chose one and he chose I don't know if he chose.
You choose. You choose.
Oh, if I choose,
you choose.
Yeah, but
he puts the cards out. So on stream, he put the cards out in front of his opponent. They picked one. He flipped it over, and that's what he was going to play. And that's all Connor wanted to do was just pull that off on stream.
Yeah, that would be. Not too. I don't mind that at all. That's just that'll be a lot of fun. But the scary part if he chose and the one worst thing if I played against anything like that, it'd be like. Fourth kind is scary.
Yeah, fourth kind is kind of scary. Kirishima seems like it being kind of. All of these here, you feel bad facing up against. Maybe Lock Clock and Kirishima 2 are the ones you're least worried about. Maybe All Might 1 you're not too worried about because there's no Detroit Smashes in here to really utilize the ability. But yeah, no, the randomness of it is what makes it so scary because. You're like, okay, I know how to take on this Nomu now, I've beaten it. And then this just random character comes out, and you're like, you probably not got that much experience taking on a lot of these characters, except maybe Overhaul. But, yeah, no. I can also say I didn't read 5 of the characters going into this event. Was it All Might, Kirishima, Lock Clock, and maybe both the Fat Gums? Because I would be really interested to find out what happened if someone selected Fat Gum 2 and you're just like, oh, I can't have that as my starting character.
But no, the deck list was cool. The deck was fun. It was a really cool idea, and hopefully you had a lot of fun with it on the day.
Yeah, we're gonna speed up a little bit because we've spent a lot of time talking about the other ones. But I want a deck profile list on the Dobbers ASAP, Connor. You can scrap editing the rest of my 3-hour interview with you and everything else going there. Lock Clock, Overhaul, both Fat Gums and Deku are the ones he didn't read. But yeah, I need a deck profile on this of you 100% taking it seriously, like a proper connoisseur of the game sort of thing. Like, oh yes, everything in here has its purpose and what it was designed to do something. With this complete meme of a beautiful deck. But yeah. Any last thoughts on this deck, Luke, before we move over? How happy would you have been to face this in the top cut?
I would have enjoyed to play against it. It'll be a lot of fun. I think it'll be just to have a laugh. Actually, it'd be great. It's what it's all about, to be honest. It's have fun. I'm glad that you did something like this. It's a new take to the game, which is nice.
More decks like this. We need more decks like this, for sure. We've done Connor. So shall we go to Brandon, Gavin, or Jordan?
Just pick one.
Let's go to Jordan, who Kiri 2 says Pete.
Is the other Nomu?
Yeah, this is the other Nomu. This is the one I believe that knocked Grant, the King of Swiss, out in the top 16. 3 seasons, a bit more. This is just apart from the it's just every attack with Kirishima's face on it.
Well, yeah, it's Harden tribal, right? To play the Harden Blitz.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I like the idea of it. Not necessarily a huge fan of the card, but it's certainly a cool idea. And most of these ones are totally reasonable cards you're playing in Nomu anyway, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at each of these attacks are coming in for minimum 8 damage. Hardened Blitz gets a lot of speed and a lot of damage. It can't leave the card pool. It's a kill card.
It is, but like you sort of Nomu, you don't need it because sort of every card is a kill card in Nomu. I kind of feel like yes, you can do like 20 in one go with this or something stupid. Well, like what 12, 17. But like it's a 6 that realistically is playing kind of later in a chain in a 5-hander. Obviously, it worked for him, and like again, not trying to sort of knock it. Just for again looking at how I would look at it building a deck. It's like
my main issue with
we can win more in Nomu because you just sort of don't need damage because like a jab's 10 damage on itself. Like,
my main issue with the Hardened Blitz is it requires coming in late because of how many foundations have to be destroyed in a turn. You haven't got much destruction on face. You'd be looking at going like chop into uppercut into blitz. So you're committing at least, if you check really well, you commit at least 1, 2, 3, 4 foundations.
Yeah. The blitz will kill people if it connects, but just like people block your stuff anyway, right? Just a little win more.
This is the tightest list we've seen of like 4, 4, 4, 4, 3, 2, and then the foundation base is 4 quick to act, 4 encounter fix, 4 snack time, 4, 4, 4, 3, 3, 4.
Yeah, this deck isn't interested in blocking, is it?
No.
This is not a deck that wants to block. Like it's got 4 mil bonding, 4 super regens. It's got no speed hate in the foundation lineup. I guess apart from someone with style, if someone's stunning you.
But, I would love to know if anyone wanted to deadlock against Jordan here with the prehensile tail. The red right's the coolest. Deadlock would have just been an absolute nightmare.
You're not really allowed to go to deadlock here because you've got prehensile tail. But yeah, it's route A, right? This deck is just saying I'm going to punch you for in slots of like 10 to 20, and I'm going to keep doing it, and I can probably kill you before you do me. Is the plan?
Yeah. Because
I'll just take chunks of 6. And build some more
I think Frenzy is absolutely a beautiful card in Nomu. It's more than likely always getting full blocks, which just means you get to build. What do you think, Luke, of the deck?
I think it's fine. I think it's just standard. It's there to do what it needs to do with a lot of the hardens stuff. I think generally speaking, I think this list is fine. To be honest,
I can. Yeah, go on. I'll let you finish. Though.
It doesn't really need to block. Really, does it? It's no move. You can block once or twice.
No, this deck doesn't want to block. No. Like it just has nothing.
Yeah.
In a meta that's kind of slowed down a little bit, where games are taking a long time, this Nomu's just going in there going, yeah, no, you're going to die.
Yeah, we're going to get this over one way or the other very quickly, and hopefully you're going to be the one that's not standing at the end of it.
Can I kill you before you hit me with 6 attacks?
Yeah, pretty much.
Let's move on to Brandon Trigg. Got into the top cuts. Really nice guy. Had a great catch up with him over the weekend. Got a lovely selfie with him.
He quite often at like locals and sort of little tournaments down in Aria, because also I think they're Gravesendish base. I can't remember, that sort of area.
On Amajiki again, making it all the way to top 8. Bright Future, one card we haven't seen quite yet, but apart from that, Manifest, League of Villains.
So this is more a sort of, I guess, traditional attack lineup that you might see in Amajiki, with like just you're playing the one promo card plus Ultra one, and then chicken kicks, indiscriminates. Right, we didn't see indiscriminates in that last one, right? Because playing with the Death Aunt and stuff. And obviously you're seeing the Ice Storms as very defensive piece, but also one that says actually at some point this is coming in for 15 damage and you can't block it with attacks. Catch. Cheerful Uppercut again is a very, very defensive piece. but yeah, this is like, you know, trying to kill you between like, you know, very, very, you know, pumping the damage onto a Kraken, or, you know, stunning you out and then indiscriminately, oh, you block that one. Well, okay, have you got another low block for this Ice Storm? Is sort of, I guess, the sort of game plan here with this one.
I like the chicken kicks in here because Amajiki has a lot of foundation enhancers, even if they don't do anything, that you can just chuck onto it to get that speed up.
Yeah, and again, it's just like it's a free poke early, right? And it's like this deck is quite overloading the low blow zone, right? It's got the 3 indiscriminates, it's got the uppercut, it's got the 2 chicken kicks, it's got the 2 ice storms. I think Slugger's also a low zone as well, right?
I don't know if uppercut was ever being thrown as an attack. It's just such a good defensive piece.
It is, but also, like, you know, you've got momentum. It can easily come in for 8, and then you can stack like Amajiki damage on it, and it's got a decent high starting speed. So, like, you know, a 5 low for like 12, quite happily, I'd imagine.
True. How about you, Luke? How do you feel about this list compared to the one you took on? Well, this attack lineup anyway.
A bit more fine than the top 4 one, I believe. Obviously, I'll have a better chance of defending against this one than the other one, but still be a harder matchup as well. It'll probably take a while, but yeah.
Yeah, it's less trying to combo you, right, than on that Death Arm thing.
It isn't all in on. It isn't all in on like Death Arm Wallops, which.
Yeah, and the thing, I guess, the Death Arms Wallop is doing that these don't necessarily do is gain the speed, right? Like Death Arms Wallop gains that speed, whereas these are just gaining almost the damage rather than the speed, and it's gaining the speed almost from like the sort of pseudo speed from stunning you.
So going into the foundation base, I think the main reason we're not seeing that is because of Surge. Surge being able to give the EX2 would make Indiscriminate pretty much unblockable as well. And it would make any of these attacks unblockable, really.
Yeah, I really like playing a 1 or 2 copies of Surge in this sort of a deck.
We've got the basic trains over the Masterminds. We've got a lot more zeros. Feeling Cute, which is a cool tech piece. I like that.
Just a lot breaker, right?
We've got 2 decoys and 4 broken psyches. Brandon was.
It doesn't want to die, right? Yeah. It's got encouraging just like. So yeah, it's I think it's a bit of a bigger list as well, right? Than
42 and 20.
Hello, Lenoko. Welcome.
Yes. Welcome to Lenoko. We're hopefully going to get Lenoko onto the podcast soon, but. Yeah, no, I like this list. I think this is more along the lines of what I would build, but I think the Death Arm Wallop is the big difference in the kill here. But Brendan's still in his top 8.
Inevitability plus combo, whereas this is just inevitability plus good attack, rather than necessarily almost like a combo finish.
I could see this Tamajiki killing you turn 2, turn 3 a lot more than I could see the other one, Michael's.
Yes, yeah, this probably has much more early actual pressure it could put on you. Like, you know, you could fling like a turn 2 indiscriminate for like 10 damage, and it's like, well, you can if you got a low block kind of thing. Whereas, yeah, the other list was almost trying to build up to that combo.
Unfortunately, this will not get the Mike Hardiman A+ seal of approval because there's only 2 nice tries.
Yeah, again, I think that's probably just a spacing issue, right?
Looking at the sideboard, we've got Double Trouble, which seems really decent in Amajiki. You're always going to have momentum.
Yeah.
Second Shuffle Uppercut, some throws, Blitz Rush, which Blitz Rush, yeah, this is probably the combo piece that Brando was running over Death Arm Wallops.
Yeah, I like the sideboard of having those kind of different attacks as like different sort of techie options you can bring in, like having those throws against maybe like an erase head or something.
It's also changing your win conditions from lows to highs, which is going to be great for the mental game.
Yeah.
How about you, Luke? How are you feeling about the sideboard?
I'm none sure, to be honest. Not.
You're allowed to say if you're not impressed by it. No.
No, it's fine. It's nothing wrong. I just don't know. Until I play against, I don't.
Like the one that stands out for me, I guess, is the double troubles. Like, when do we want those?
But other than that, no.
Yeah, the double troubles do seem interesting, but I'm sure if you asked Brandon nicely, he'd play against you. Locally, is he local? I think he's local.
No, he's in he's in sort of North Kent, I think.
Oh, he's more down your end then.
Yeah. I see him all the time at like one sort of events down here.
I'm gonna have to try and get down to more of your events then.
Well, I've been saying that for ages.
It's 3 hours. Big congratulations to Brandon. Great to see some more self-representation. Let's move on to someone who is a local and a friend of Luke's, Gavin Walker. Playing on the Overhaul. Did you and Gavin compare lists before the RLE? Did you help each other?
No, not really. No. I did play previously, but then I just immediately changed to live a week before. So I just I just quickly rushed it up and just built it, and that was it.
This is a very interesting overhaul. There's no calorie counter. Only 2 rapid punches. Tetra Terror. Love Tetra Terror in overhaul. Absolutely beautiful to see it being played here. I'm. The more I look at this, the more I'm digging it. The bad guy roundups, the one-offs, monstrous fusion. Luke, Richard, any thoughts?
Yeah, so I do generally think that Earth Overhaul is just worse than Life, right? I think it's possibly a little bit more consistent, but I don't. I think Life has much more going for it. I like the bad guy roundups just as that momentum hate, and obviously having like the omni blocks like the red guards and stuff. Like Tetra Terrors are cool. I don't know how necessary they are. But I like Frenzy in this list. Like, certainly when I play against it, like Frenzy's a bit of a bugger because you never want to, like, you don't, obviously it's sort of, generally speaking, it's going to be 7 damage, right? You know, it's you guarantee the +1/+1. You flip for the +2, and they never want to block it because you just build it down and then it's coming back at you, right? Because it's not just a free foundation; it's a free stashed attack. So Overhaul always sees that attack.
Exactly.
I like Frenzy a lot in the list.
I like this. I do like this build a lot. Any thoughts from yourself, Luke?
Yeah, I like this. Like this Frenzy is really good. But I do like the Hardened package. A few of his attacks are pretty good. Like Tetra Terror is pretty good, obviously. But the Monstrous Fusion always good. I kind of prefer the Monstrous Fusion in the Earth build compared to the Life build.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, personally, I would have probably scrapped the Monstrous Fusion and probably put in a Pummel.
Yeah.
Hardened Pummel, because of how predominant actions are at the minute, being able to shut off actions in the Earth build seems really good.
Yeah, I can see that. Pummel could be more like probably maybe sideboard, maybe? Or
maybe we can get down. So let's get into the foundations. 4 it can be fixed, 4 quick to act, as is tradition. 2 tight-lipped. Male bonding, snack time, chivalrous. Surprise interception is not a foundation you see quite often, but it's really good.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just, I think there's a lot of a lot of things it goes against in the format at the moment. So, like, I'm not surprised to see it like in main decks.
Reconstruction is one I saw played a lot in Swiss, but I think this is the first time we've seen it in the top cut. So I don't think you're running it, are you, Luke?
What was that? Which card?
Reconstruction.
No.
No.
It was a player reconstruction.
Yeah,
No.
it's a great way of just, if you've checked an attack or if there's an attack on top of your discard, getting it in for overhaul, getting a defensive piece you might need. I think it's a really cool tech piece that it's one of those ones I had overlooked. Ferocity, 4 cooperation offer, talented Baker. I don't know how necessary that is.
I mean, no, Baker's nice. Like, you just want to give speed on stuff, right? Because, like, again, with these earth punches, and like you've got damage, and you can get damage. You've got damage on face, so you just sort of need the speed. How often you're necessarily drawing cards in this, I don't know. I mean, you've got back alleys, you've got chivalrouses,
you've got rapid punches.
Yeah.
That's my only real main issue. Without draw on face, you'd be using, either you have to use back alley to get the draw rather than the build, which isn't great early on, or you're hoping that rapid punches hits so you can get more speed to everything else. Personally, I probably would have put in a 4th chivalrous and a 4th manly, but that's just me. But it worked out for Gavin, so these are just like our own posters. 3 cardboard loadings, and then in the sideboard is what I've come to know as the Gavin staple. I know Gavin did really well on Nomu in provisionals, so it's great to see it in the sideboard here.
Again, Nomu, if you're not naming him, makes sense as a sideboard character, right, against those kind of dunk type decks. Because there are decks that just can't beat Nomu, right? There are characters that just say, actually, I just can't beat it.
Oh, seeing the 2 seizings in the side rather than the main is really interesting. It says to me, because Overhaul does have interesting interactions with seizing the advantage. Because you are able to just play it from the stage if you want to get jab out with a bit more speed. So seeing the side...
that almost feels like a waste, though, almost playing seizing from stage, unless you really need the flip. You always just want to be playing the attacks.
Yeah, that's fair. It's more... if you were trying to slow down your playstyle, you just wanted to go with a couple of pokes, you could go seizing into frenzy and play your face down. If it gets half blocked, you've got that seizing ready to go rather than playing the frenzy again. Play the seizing, play jab, commit 1, build on the seizing, pick up the one you committed, which is probably one you built with Overhaul, get that one back, and then you're still ready to go with these attacks that have gone of wasted resources.
Yeah. It's just sort of a, Earth Overhaul, right? It's just a lot of the Earth sort of good stuff.
I'm liking the division in the sideboard, 2 Faith Shield and 2 Line Standards for defense, and someone with style and a Weber Blades for a bit more offensive capability as well.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts on this deck for you, Luke?
No, it's very good. Like, it's the Harden package, you can't go wrong with it. Like the season advantage, it's pretty good, but like you said, playing another tactics is probably better if you just want to go for it. So like you season advantage is probably there for just to flip an opponent's card that's not that will probably disrupt you, but obviously I feel like it's more beneficial to play another attack rather than playing it back again from your foundation zone.
Yeah, and like I said, unless there's something you really need to flip, or you really need the extra 2 speed to counter lethal or something,
Yeah. Big congratulations to Gavin. Great to see him come along because he's still a fairly new player, I believe. He's not been playing a ridiculously long amount of time because he was fairly new at the May RLE.
Yeah, he only just started a week before then. That was it. He started a week before.
And he picked up Nomu on Def and did some funny things with Azure. And it's great to see 3 months later he's top 8ing in an RLE. great to show you how explosive your rate of growth can be in this game when you put in the work.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's done a fantastic job. Yeah, he's done really well. Yeah, to see him, come so far in such a short time is rather good.
So let's move down these ones in alphabetical order. Yeah, so let's go quickly through with Ben Campersol on Deku 4. We got the free capture
We
windows.
don't have time to go through all. We'll have to speed through these ones.
Yeah,
so apologies to 9th to 16th. Because obviously we've been going for quite a while. So
yeah, apologies to the people in the top 16. We're gonna just blast through these with. I'll quickly go through the deck list, then we can talk about quickly sum up. So 4 Texas Smash, 4 Valiant, 3 Rewind, 3 Setup, 4 Back Alley, 2 Rejuvenating, 2 Wind Up, 4 Keeping Area.
It's probably an aggressive Deku 4, right? Like he's got things like the Texases and the Valiants so you're stringing a little bit more. So it's probably a bit more aggressive than say than Greg's build. See, this looks like what I don't want Deku 4 to be. And again, not a knock on the guy and the deck, because obviously he did very, very well. But this almost looks like a Deku 2 and a Deku 2 deck and a Deku 4, right? With like the enemies necessaries, and like with the sort of attack lineup. Obviously, he did very well with it. Yeah, like it doesn't have things like I would want in there, like the Lost in Thought stuff like that.
No. What about yourself, Luke? Any initial thoughts just as we went through quickly with the deck list?
It's done it jerked. It's fine. It just wants to just do attack and that's it. Just, basic attacks normally you normally find in Deku. It's just the.
I think the only thing that catches me off guard is the 2 Rejuvenating. It might just be an availability thing, but I'd always want to be running 4 in Deku 4 because it's just 3 EX.
I mean, it is, but also it's a 6 diff, right? I mean, I don't necessarily think Rejuve is always a 4 of, so I think that's fine. We got
Ben Clapperton on Mirio. 4 capturers, 3 rewind, 3 valiant, 4 valiant, 4 Texas, 3 rejuvenating, 4 phantom threat, and 4 back alley. Yeah, this is just a decent list. 4 the million big 3. It's
a weird one because you don't really get to ever trigger the momentum. So yeah, it does get you the cards, but it is very 6 diff. This looks very, very similar to your lists, Luke, in terms of just very 4 ofs, and it's just got a very straightforward game plan.
It's very greedy with the amount of 2s, but
that's fine.
Yeah, that's more fun. The most interesting thing for me, no sideboard. This deck came to do one thing, and if it can't do it, then it doesn't care.
Yeah.
That is like the biggest flex I love to see in decks when they go, yeah, I'm not bringing a sideboard. My deck's got a plan. If you can counter the plan, I'm happy for you to have it. Let's go to Blaine Taylor on Mirio. Great job from Blaine. I think they originally were getting some cards off me for a deck and changed their minds and pivoted to Mirio quite late on. But great to see. Capture there was BMI Buster. Hello, that's a nice little addition. Valiant, Texas, Hard and Jab, Back Alley, Hard and Chop, 3 Rejuvenating, 3 Phantom Threat.
Mm-hmm.
I like the BMI Buster in here. It's a great momentum out if you're still going to be keeping them. It gets you build, it gets you extra draw. I think that is an absolutely great addition to this deck.
Yeah, so again, a bit more of a almost mid-rangey version that sometimes wants to string out, but obviously it's playing the things like the chops and the jabs to play a slightly longer game and defensive game. It's got like the splits. It's got more defensive pieces in this. So yeah, it's sort of almost like a hybrid of that BMI Buster list and then your sort of standard Mirio list.
The carpool to work is one that I absolutely love. I've just noticed it because
it's very good in Mirio.
Yeah, it's not going to be too great against the matches that they were having because not many people were in lows. But if you can get it into your momentum after a block, you discard with Mirio, you get your momentum back. You discard with BMI, get your momentum back. Discard with EX, discard with Powerful, get your momentum back. That's a beautiful little tech piece that I think more people should be running, and it's a 2 low block, which is never a bad thing to have, really. Cyborg Toro Hakagori 2. That's really interesting. 5%, 3 chilies, 3 evading copies.
Yeah.
Solid, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, again, the Toro is always a nice kind of sideboard option, right, for those matchups where they matter. So yeah, it makes sense.
I mean, if they'd have come across, it's a great way to just force people to overextend, and then you can just come in with a lot of these attacks and just catch them off guard. If you can force,
I can imagine that coming in against Overhaul, right, and just saying, you've played your repeat in and you've passed a check.
Yeah.
You've played your once from stage, you go 3 attacks, play my repeating on a 5, no bounce it to your hand. Again, if you want, but it's down on an 8.
Exactly, it would stop overhauls once per turn. It'd stop Storm of Blades. They play it for free, and you go bounce it back.
Yeah, or obviously it's always been good against Tokiyami, things like that. So. So the Toro is always a good sideboard option.
How about you, Luke? How scared were you about running into Toro 2 in the event?
Yeah, that would be nerve-wracking because I've never played against it, so that's going to be an interesting one to play against. The bouncing would be not ideal at all, to be honest.
I mean, they did take a RLE last season, which I think is what forced Steve Claxo to retire from playing them for a little bit because someone else did it before him. It killed his enthusiasm a little bit. Let's go into Declan or Mirio as well. Lots of Mirios in there.
Yeah, we had 4 Mirios in top cuts, was it?
Yeah, pretty much 4. Pretty much this is just your standard Mirio list. Heroic Strike, Future Charge, Texas Smash, Valiant Assault, Hardened Jab, and Backhand Haymaker. Everything you see there.
This is all built for stringing, right? It's all trying to do playing as many 4 diffs as it can, playing 4 diffs like your jabs and stuff that are giving you resources along the way. Obviously, you're going to be really happy about the Unrivaled Combat in the deck.
That's the 2 things I was going to just mention is only the 1 in a million are big 3, so not too concerned about seeing it consistently. Love Unrivaled Combatant. I will always recommend that to anyone playing these symbols. It is such a good card. And the Kindle in the Flames is a nice little defensive piece for after the block.
Yeah.
Lots of little one-offs.
Only 1 in a million, because I think we played on Webcam, Luke, in one of the Tuesday events, and I just saw how powerful that card is and why, even though it's unique, you just play multiple copies because you just always want to see it.
Yeah.
You should always be playing a minimum of 3 because there are destruction and flip effects out there that you always want that on your board. Because it just does so many good things.
Because you want to see turn 1, you basically want 4. You want to see on turn 1. If you're playing like Phantom Threat, it's so good with Phantom Threat. It's going to be you play Vermilion at big 3, use it +1 speed, then you play Mirio, make it a low, get +2 damage, response +2 speed, then use it to +1 damage and then +1 speed. So it's 7 for 8 just for those 2 cards is nuts, to be honest.
Yeah, it's just so much free stats over the course of a turn, right?
So let's just because of how quick we're going, let's just quickly move on to the King of Swiss Grant. 2 Barrier Shields. I've come around so hard on how good Barrier Shield is.
It's very, very good, and we've not seen many of them so far, right? And I think it should be played more.
And then
this is obviously Throver Hall, yeah. So
you can see why this became King of Swiss. It is just good value destruction, and once the Nebulous Stairs get down, they ain't going anywhere. Lots of breaker blocks, lots of echo. Chronosis Trigger Voss isn't going to slow you down. Tongue Whip, Nebulous Stair, just absolutely frigid you have to deal with. Lots of highs. It's a good, nice, well-rounded deck. Lots of damage pump, successful results slot to extend out.
So, I think this sort of attack lineup, or at least the evil attack lineup, is really cool, and it's a lot of fun. I think Life's just overall a better deck for me.
The big thing is Reconstruction is such a valuable card in this deck. I play against Evil Overhaul round 2, And I was like, okay, they just keep checking their nebula stairs. I'm fine. And but there was a case of they checked nebula stair, they went, oh, they committed for it, and then just reconstruction it down. Like, yep, now my engine's going. You can't stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a particular deck I was scared of to play against because the amount, if it's early game as well, and you got your breaker and stuff like that.
Again, like you nebula stair, move a nebula stair to the top, loving fog, pick it up, kind of thing.
Yeah, there's so many good synergies in this deck that there's not really much anyone's going to be able to do to stop you once you get this engine going. It is a shame Grant went out in the after getting top 16, went out in the top 16, but the Nomu deck that took him down was, as we saw, high tuned for if I can get damage in, I'm killing you, and I don't care what you're doing to me.
Yeah, but this just again, Evil's just not got quite that defensive life, right? Life just has the much better defense. Like, it would have been hard, like, maybe going into the mirror here against for you, but obviously life has those things like your face shields, your wall cling, so you've got answers to throws.
Yeah, well, looking at the sideboard, we have got the answers to Nomu, including Nomu themselves. Showdown, Blood Curdle, Runaway. It might have just been a case that Grant didn't see those in the game, or they came at times where it unfortunately just didn't quite matter as much. But Grant, winner of the Season 1 RLE, and did a hell of a performance being King of Swiss. Very well played, and whenever you talk to anyone about who the top 5 players are in the EU, Grant is always on that list. Let's move on to Liam Chawner, who was unceremoniously defeated round 1 by some guy playing a meme.
Yeah, I was sort of prepared to do that. This Fire Rapper deck, and I think we can. Was it exactly the same list that Nathan played, or they make trade? Were they changed?
I think Nathan talked. I think Liam talked Nathan into the changes. Let's quickly look at Nathan's list, so we can cover them both. They are practically the same, so we're kind of okay. There's no spirit. Yeah, there's no spear and shield in the sideboard, but generally the lineup is the same.
Okay, but like this rapper list was really cool, right? Like, I don't know how I feel. I love Provenance Burn. I know Nathan's married to it. I don't know how much this deck needs Provenance Burn. It feels like that was just Nathan's love letter to it, and it could come out and still do the thing and be good and be more consistent.
So you weren't here for how this went down, were you? You were still driving up. Luke, do you know how Liam ended up playing this?
I think Liam was the one that was going to play it, and I think Mike taught Nathan into playing Rapper as well.
So close, but originally Nathan was going to be playing Shoto too because they were testing it while I was there.
Okay.
Mike and Nathan were both thinking about playing Rapper before Mike changed overnight, but Liam was on the fence about playing Shoto, and I joined in because peer pressure. We were all talking him into playing this Rapper deck, and he kept saying that it wasn't going to work, and he was testing it, and he was beating people, and he was having a lot of fun playing it, so he kept going in. And there is a certain phrase apparently in Sheffield that if you say it as part of the playing group, they have to do it. I'm not going to repeat it on stream because it has some offensive words in it, but basically you call them out and say, if you don't do this, you have no guts. So Mike called Liam out on it, kept pushing it, so Liam eventually, after Patriot had closed down, after we'd all gone to get our decks ready, got him to register the Rapper, got the Rapper in, and then Liam went all the way to the top 16 with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, and then Mike changed to all Momo, which beat me down in a very good game on stream on the Saturday. But both
the Swiss gambit of losing round 1. But yeah, no, the deck's very, very good, right?
That is the tech. Both Nathan and Liam lost round 1 and then went on to top cut, so I think that's how you get to top cut now.
No, that's fair.
Nathan lost to me round 1.
So that's how you get to top cut, but that's not how you win.
Yeah.
But yeah, both.
Yeah, I don't know, like, because obviously bullet, prominence burn is really cool. It does the burn, it clears your progressive run. I sort of understand why it's there, but I'm just like, is it necessary? I don't know.
It did get Prominence Burn did squeak Nathan a couple of games. I'm not quite sure about Liam, but when Nathan was talking about it, he was saying the free damage from Prominence Burn won him games that he would have lost without it.
It is just there another sort of 4 diff you can put in there, for example, just so you can go harder. I don't know. Again, like it's obviously I've not played the deck. It's just sort of that sort of my gut reaction to it, I suppose.
It's a high risk, high reward because you could end up having to commit 5 foundations on your second attack with the Prominence Burn and Bullet Punches, but it paid off for both Liam and Nathan. Just as our usual dunk on Nathan, we're gonna just pair him up with Liam and just congratulate both of them on getting to top 16.
Well, yeah, Nathan's guess was pretty generic rapper, right? So we can just skip over it.
All Nathan did was copy Liam's rapper. That's all that happened there.
Well, Liam said Prominence Burn and Nathan was in.
And then we've got the only Giro to make it in with Tom Harks. This is a Giro list. It has 2 set 5 cards in it, which is Nice Try and Nedry and the big 3. And you probably don't really need the big 3.
It's very nice as extra draw, right? Obviously Giro tends to necessarily sometimes play like a little bit, a few odds and sods in it, but this is very streamlined. It's playing like, is it 4 comets? Usually I would maybe expect to see 2 or 3.
4 comets, 3 discriminates, 4 jolts, 4 double jab, 4 specialist. This isn't running instant explosive releases. It's not worried about killing you in an instant turn.
There's no IERs, there's no grav lift. What other cards did Giro play? I don't remember. I only played it the weekend. No IER, things like that. So it's not trying to like necessarily high roll you, but I suppose like Home Run Comet almost fills the role of the IER, right? It can snap that momentum for you.
You can go Jolt, or you can go Jolt to set up the next turn, or you can go Home Run Comet, snap a foundation into momentum, then get the specialized going, or even go double jab into specialized into indiscriminate. It can turn to you, but this feels like a little bit more of a altered list to match the slowed down meta and how defensive decks are getting.
Yeah. But even like a poke comet, right? It's still like a 4 high 5, or just as burst attack, right?
The addition of Observant Student feels really interesting to me because you can look at the top 2 cards of your deck, get through those, and then after you've checked the second card, you can Observant Student to make sure your next check's going to go through, or whether you need to stop.
I think Observant Student is there because it's a 1 low block, right?
It is, but if you get it down, it can be a string extender and make sure your next one's going to go through.
The Deadlock Enhance it does range stuff, right? It does stuff with range attacks, remember rightly?
Yeah, if in Deadlock, if an attack's left your card pool, which if a card's left your card pool, which I don't think is going to happen.
Okay, so the Deadlock says blank on this one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I think it's a spam with a low block, and sometimes a text could be relevant, but mostly it's a spam with a low block, I think. Again, that would be my assumption on that one.
Yeah. Any thoughts from you, Luke, on the Giro list? We've seen so many of them over the course of the year.
No, it's just the standard Giro deck, but it's done extremely well. Like, it's not always nice to see Giro top. It's not always nice to see an oldish deck that's still like really competitive to this date as well. It's still rather strong. It's only made it, like you said, it's only made a few weeks with 2 new cards to put in the deck. And it's still going strong.
The sideboard is very interesting for this Giro because you got the Pillar Swings, which can fulfill the Deadlock on Observant Student, but also give you that momentum. And I think it's better in the sideboard than in the main board because it's quite niche when you want to play it. And then you got Toru 2.
Another good one.
With Cheerleader and Encouraging Training Partner. I think this is...
Yeah. And I think they got knocked out by Brandon, and I think it was something like a three-hour round of 16. So obviously went a long game with Amajiki.
I mean, that's how it's kind of going to go with Jiro. They're going to kill Amajiki quickly, or they're going to be stuck trying to find that opening to get that Amajiki down, because Home and Comet and Vaults can come in for a lot, but Amajiki can also reduce a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Reduce one attack every turn. Can be very much of a problem sometimes.
Exactly. So, any last thoughts on these decks?
No, I mean, like, just overall at the top 16, it was reasonably varied, but like we saw sort of almost where the meta is, right? We're seeing Mirios, we're seeing overhauls. We've got the Jiro, we've seen Nomu all over, bits there and bobs. It wasn't like the only one was like, I suppose, Deku 4, but even that, I think people were sort of expecting him to top by now anyway.
Yeah.
So to me, there wasn't much in terms of like surprising characters that got in. Like their characters we've seen top, like we've seen Amajiki top before. Like there wasn't much that I think was like almost. I think, like I say, Deku 4, I think was only sort of first timer in top cuts this season.
So before we wrap up and leave, we have to go over, of course, if Luke's not aware, at the beginning of this season we did a draft where me, Richard, one of the Dobbers, and Adam, and the UKVersus Academy, Matt and Chris, all picked characters, tried to see how many points we could accrue over the course of the season. So currently, in last place with 11 points is me, only getting points from the Oceania, because they've got my back. Then,
you've not had a good run of it, have you?
I did pick a few meme characters towards the end. I'm still surprised the fourth kind hasn't top cut. And I was so close to getting points for myself.
Yeah, that is fair.
Then we've got Chris on 30 points. That's how big of a difference there is between me and the fourth place. Yeah. In third place, we have Matt on 42.
Yeah, Matt obviously got a big hit from Deku 4 this time, and he's obviously not too far behind us. I think there's still a few more of those characters of his that could hit and get that top cut. So
then we have Adam of the Dobbers, who is hot on the heels of first place at 60 points.
Constantly raking in those points from Rapper and Jiro and Nomu.
And then in first place, who has consistently been in first place since the beginning of the draft, only tying 1 week with Adam, is Richard on 66 points.
Yeah, just riding on Overhaul's coattails, basically.
You have 6 times my score.
Yeah, but obviously Overhaul won EU, it won Gen Con, came second in OCE.
Yeah.
And
didn't see much in Webcam.
But also I had...
You had a Razorhead.
Razorhead. So, 3 out of the 4 RLE so far, I've had the winner on my team, right? So,
well, we've got Rochester in 2 weeks, and we've got Vegas on the 30th of September, which is terrifying to think that's only 5 weeks away, because it's the week before Nationals for us.
Yeah. We'll obviously try and do another draft for the national season.
We're already in negotiations. We're already talking to some content creators about getting them in here. There'll be some big names, some slightly smaller names in terms of the content creators, but all around great people that do it. So let's start off with a smaller congratulations to Richard for being top of the draft table, and a huge congratulations to our current our season 2 RLE champion Luke Quinsee. I can now see why Nathan steals all of your decks.
Oh right, that's actually caught on, has it?
So the top 8 players from the last Nationals have a group chat, and Nathan at the moment is constantly talking about your decks and how he wants to keep stealing them for locals and RLEs, and he was going to steal your deck for this RLE, but then decided he wanted to go Rapper instead.
Well, no, he didn't kind of see. I said to him if he wanted to play it, he was allowed to play it. I just said to him, "Look, do you want to play this deck? It's rather good." Normally, he doesn't really steal it. I just ask him if he wants to play him, if he wants to ever play him, because but obviously he has a number of choices of bets what he wants to play.
He doesn't. He has a puppeteer marionetting above him, telling him what his options are he can play. He doesn't have as much freedom as he likes to tell us he does when it comes to his deck choices. But your decks are on the constantly, I approve of you playing this deck.
Yeah, I suppose.
But so, any last words from you, Luke, before we get going? Because we've gone a lot longer than usual today.
No, it's fine. No, thank you for having me. And
yeah, thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, anytime. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Nationals and looking forward to everybody again, to see everybody.
It is so soon. I went Mike was saying it's like less than 7 weeks away. I was like, no. Nationals are so soon. But yeah, you've been great, Luke. Sorry if we've talked over you a little bit, but
don't say we, Brett. Don't say we.
But it's been great having you on here, and yeah, anytime you want to come back, you want to come on the stream, just let us know. We'll love to have you back.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Yeah, of course, anytime. And thanks for having me again. Yeah, take care.
Nice.
And I'll see you again next time if possible.
Yeah, perfect. We'll try. Well, when we're doing the pre-national ones, maybe we'll get you back on to talk about what how your national prep has gone and how you feel going in. We'll see if we can get other people in as well for it. And Richard, would you like to do the usual wrap up?
Yeah,
because you do it so eloquently.
Yes, thank you very much, everyone watching. Obviously, everyone in chat, thanks for joining in. Obviously, everyone watching on YouTube, do all the things. Like, subscribe, comment, helps. Yeah, we'll catch you later, and thanks for watching, guys.
Bye!